Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to discuss another important lead code problem. The difficulty level of this problem is medium and the name of the problem is search in a rotated sorted array 2. This problem is based upon binary search. Even though when we discuss the conditions it won't be very necessary to know about binary search, I would still recommend for you to study about it beforehand so that you are more comfortable with the explanation. So this question has previously been asked in some of the product-based companies like Microsoft, Adobe, Amazon, and because of the concept of binary search is usually tested in interviews, different versions of this question do come up. So at the end of the video today, I'll be discussing a different version of the same question and I'll give you that as an assignment. It will be easy once you understand this question. So definitely stick around by then and try to solve it and post your solution in the comment section below. And if you like today's video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel and share the video with your friends. Also, don't forget to check out the entire interview playlist, link to which you'll find in the description below. So without wasting any time, now let's start discussing the question. So I would recommend you to pause the video and read out the question statement once for yourself. I hope that you've read the question and now let's start understanding what the question is saying. So the question says that we will be given an array like this, right? And it will be a sorted array. So let's take a sorted array 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But that's not all. It also says that this sorted array might be rotated. So what does rotation mean? That let's say we've taken this entire and I have rotated it like this. So what will it become? It will become 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. Alongside this array, I'll be given a target value and I have to tell whether the target value is present in my array or not. So suppose I'm given a target value 5, I have to tell whether 5 was present in this array or not. So I hope the problem statement is clear to you. Now let's talk about the approach part. So the approach to this problem is a bit tricky and we'll understand it through the code, but let's just understand the basics of this question first. So before moving on to the solution and the code, let's look at the kind of input we are going to have. So let's take an example. Let's take the array 3, 4, 5, 1 and 2. Suppose we are given this kind of an array, you can see that this is sorted and rotated. If you see it in this fashion 1 and 2 and then 3, 4, 5, it is a sorted array and it is rotated. Let's try and plot this array onto the graph. So first of all, we'll have a line like this. Let's say this point is 3, this particular point is 4 and this particular point is 5. And now we'll see that there's a sudden decrease that from 5 we come to 1. So let's just make a dotted line over here and we go up to 2. So this point, let's say, is 1 on the graph and this particular point here is 2. All right. Now the difference between this question and search in a sorted array 1 is that this question has duplicates. So in the sorted array part 1, this is the graph that is followed. However, in this particular problem, it can go up to 3 and then repeat itself. Or instead of going up to 3, 2 can repeat itself like this over here. Alright, sorry. 2 can repeat itself. Even 3 can repeat itself over here. So input like 3, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 3. This is also valid. For this, we'll have to extend this 3 up till here and then reach up to 5. And we'll have to extend this 2 to 3 and then take one more point. So this is the kind of graph we'll be given. So I hope that you understand what I have tried to represent with this graph. If not, I'll suggest you to watch this part again because this graph is going to be vigorously used in the explanation part. So if you've not understood this graph, it will be tough to understand the rest of the question. So please make sure that you try and plot this graph once by yourself. And if still not clear, watch this part again. So now let's look at the code part of it. So first of all, I'm given a nums vector, which is my rotated array. So let's take an int L equal to 0 and an R equal to nums dot size minus 1. So what are these? These are iterators. All right. So R will be used to iterate from the right. and L will be used to iterate from the left. Okay, and up till when we have to iterate? While L is less than equal to R. Why is that? Because when L becomes equal to R, that is the final element. That means we don't need to continue our iteration any further. Alright. So let's look at what we have to do in each iteration. So first of all, I'll have to remove all the duplicates. So let's look at the code for it. While L is less than R, and then nums of L is equal to nums of L plus 1. So what do I have to do? I have to increment my L until then. Alright. Don't worry, we'll just look it in the explanation also. What does this do? So let me just copy this again so that I'll remove the duplicates from the end as well. So instead of L, I'll make it R, and instead of L plus 1, I'll make it R minus 1, and at each step, I'll decrement my R. So what is this part doing? Let's understand. So for an input like I discussed, right, 3, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 3. So it will remove this 3 and this 3. I will definitely leave at least one instance of the element at the end and at the beginning, because that could be our potential target. But what if this was simply 2? And in that case, I'll still have to remove this element and keep this element. Alright. Another important thing to note that I've written there L less than R and not L less than equal to R. Why? Let's consider 1, 1, 1 and 1. In this case, I still need at least one instance of 1 because this could be a potential target, right? But if I would have kept L less than equal to R, it would have removed all the ones, right? So I hope that part is clear. So let's look at the next part of the code. So first of all, I need to define int m is equal to L plus R minus L by 2. So what is this doing? This is calculating the middle element. Okay. Now, on the basis of this middle element, what are the two conditions? The first condition is if my nums of m is greater than the target, or it can be less than the target, then we have to do something. But before this, right, there's another condition that if nums of m is equal to target, that means my element is found, so I will return true. Why I will return true? Element or target is found. Alright. So if I've found the target, I will return true. If not, then I will do something. So let's understand what I will do. So in the first condition, when my nums of m is greater than my target, what are the possibilities? So let's draw the graph again that we discussed initially, like this. Okay. So this is this sort of a graph. Alright. Now either my middle element can lie in this portion or in this portion, or I can say that this entire portion or this entire portion somewhere. And I'm given the condition that my nums of m is greater than my target. Alright. Now let's consider these two conditions one by one. So first of all, let us consider this portion, that what if my m lies over here. Now I know that my nums of m is greater than target. That means my target will lie over here strictly. However, in my other condition, if I know that my nums of m is lying over here, my target can lie either in this portion or this entire portion, because all of these numbers are smaller than my nums of m. Another important thing to note, that this condition will always be satisfied, that L is less than equal to m, which is less than equal to R, right? And remember that these are the iterators, these are indices of the array, and nums of m or nums of L or nums of R are actual values of the array. So in this condition, let's now discuss this in depth. I can say that if my M is lying over here, I concluded that my target will lie strictly here. And I also know that my L will be lying behind my M and my R will be lying ahead of M. So this is the portion where my R is going to lie strictly. And now that I have to search in this space, I have to bring my R behind. Alright. So that concludes this part. Right. Now let's look at the second part of it, which was that my M was lying in the upper line. So my M is lying somewhere over here. Let's consider it's lying over here. Now in this case, when my target is less than nums of M, I concluded that target can be lying over here or in this entire array. Right? And in this also I know that my L will be lying in this part and my R can be lying in this part or in this part. Why? Because I mentioned that this condition will always be true. L is less than equal to M is less than equal to R. Alright? And from this, can I say that if my target is lying somewhere in this value and also nums of L is less than equal to target. This means that nums of L is also less than nums of M. Right? This was also seen here that that L can be lying only here. So this condition was automatically satisfied. Now this is the condition that I'm adding extra. So what does this imply? That if this is the value and in this number line there are lying L, target and M, target will be somewhere in between L and M. And my R is ahead of my M. So my target search space reduces to only this array. So again, I will bring my R behind. Alright, I hope that this part is clear. And if none of these conditions is satisfied, then I have to increase my L. Why? Because then my target either lies over here or here. Right? In these two particular paths, if my target lies, then I have to increment my L ahead. So let's write this down in code as well so that this is more clearer. So I was talking about this condition, and in this I'll now write down two if conditions more. So if my nums of L is greater than nums of M. Alright. So this was the first condition. The condition where M was in the lower line. Alright. Or nums of L is less than equal to target. And this was the condition when my M lied in the upper line. So what I did in this condition was R is equal to M minus 1. Alright. Else, what I discussed, my L will be incremented ahead. So my L becomes M plus 1. These steps are quite standard to the binary search steps, that M, if it is not, then I have to reduce my search space. So these steps are to reduce the search space. So now let's discuss the next part. So in the next part, if my nums of M is not greater than target and it is not equal to target, then that means my nums of M is less than target. So let's look at this part as well, right? So the condition is nums of M is less than target. So let's draw this graph again. Alright. Now again, two conditions, that number one, nums of N can lie over here or nums of M can lie over here. Now I know that target is greater than nums of M. So for this condition, there's only one possible search space, which is this one. However, for this condition, the search space is again this one as well as this one. So you'll notice that this time it is reverse. In the previous one, my search space was different because it was lesser. So one search space was this, and the other search space was this. This time, this search space has no significance. In fact, this search space and this search space are concluded as one, whereas this search space is concluded as the second search space. Right? Now, again, let's discuss these two conditions in depth. So, in this part, I'll be discussing this condition first. So, let's see. So, drawing the graph again. So, if my nums of m lies over here and my target is greater than nums of m, so target is only lying over here, and r could be lying over here or here, so I don't need to disturb my r. I need to increment my L. So my L will come here this time. In the previous one, I was changing my R. This time I'll be changing my L first. Alright. So this part is done. Now let's discuss the second portion, which was if my M is somewhere here. Now my condition is that my target is greater than nums of M. So it can be either here or here. Again, like we checked in the previous one, that if my nums of L was less than the target, in this case, I'll be doing the opposite of it. I'll be checking if my nums of L is greater than target. So this will form again the similar sort of number line as we saw in the previous case. This time what will happen, if my nums of M is lesser than target, right, and my nums of L is greater than target, this implies that nums of L is greater than nums of M. Alright, if my M is over here and my nums of L is greater than nums of M and my L is less than M, that means my nums of L is over here. Alright, and I'm taking it such that I have to move my L ahead. So I'm considering that it is in this search space or in this search space and my L is behind, so I have to again move my L ahead. And when none of these conditions are satisfied, I'll obviously decrement my R so as to try and reach the previous state that we discussed. Right? So this part of previous state is again from binary search, that if we do not find a particular number in a particular search space, we try to alter the search space. So let's write this down in the code as well. So in the else condition, I'll first write down if nums of L is less than equal to nums of M. Alright. So this was the first condition when my nums of M lied in the upper line. Alright. There it could, nums of L has to be strictly less than equal to nums of M. Right. Or nums of L is greater than my target. So if my nums of L was greater than my current target, that means I had to move ahead my nums of L so as to try and bring it in the lower line. Alright. So in this case, I was making L is equal to M plus 1. If none of these were true, then I was bringing my R behind. R is equal to M minus 1. And at the end of my while loop, I will return false. So when will I return false? If never ever have I returned true, I will return false. That means my element was never found. So this element does not exist. Hence, I return false. Now let's try and submitting it. So yes, you can see it does get submitted and it is faster than 94% of solutions and uses less memory than 99.97% of other solutions. Now let's give you the assignment that I talked about in the beginning of the video. So the assignment is that in this question that we had to return whether the element is present or not. The assignment is you have to tell the exact index of the element. Right? You have to find out the index of the particular element given. So that is the assignment for you. Don't forget to put the solution down in the comment section and ask your doubts as well. Any feedback is also equally welcome. And if you like today's solution, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel and share the video with your friends and press that bell icon to never miss another update. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for keep coming back and keep coding. Thank you.